Okay, I've saved you a little time on this one. I had my fine stone here, put a little ballistol on it. Compare my sear, the one here, to your new one, the one you haven't touched yet. And you'll see how much material I took off. Again, very minute. You see this little, see if I can get see that little ridge right there? It's on the casting. You can feel that ridge. Leave that. Do not get any closer to it than what I have. That's as close as you want to get. Let's see if we can get the glare off of it so we can see. Well, that's not too bad though. But you can see how I've filed that down, and you can see that hump there. Again, this is a bad angle. It's kind of at a top angle type view, but you can see that there's that hump still right there, and you can see that little ridge. You'll see what I'm talking about when you're looking at your new one. But what you want to do with that file is just barely take 2 or 3 strokes back and forth. And again, I call it a file, it's a stone. You can even use finer than this. I have some hard Arkansas ultrafine stones that I use, that Dan's Whetstone does a good job of cutting his stones. Really superior Arkansas whetstones, and his are the same dimension as these, 6 by 1.5. Now you're going to pay for them. They're I think they're about $32 for a 6. Well, you could get away with a 5, but we're talking about $3 or $4 difference. Why not get the 6 and have the little extra length for something you might need? I use the ultrafine on my, which is the hard Arkansas translucent, on my 1911 Sears and Trigger Jobs, which I'll do a video on that next. Premium, I'm talking top of the line for what you pay. That's where I do not cut corners, is on my stones. This is technically an India stone, is technically an aluminum oxide, but it is at a fine grit enough to where, to be honest with you, this fine grit and a hard Arkansas fine, you're not going to notice that much of a difference. So I went ahead and went with the economy on my medium, or on my fine grade, and went with an India. You can get these at Brownells or Midway or what have you. These are 6 by 1/2 by 1/2. India fine. There's 3 grades you want to deal with. There's fine, extra fine, and then ultra fine. And again, Dan's has some very good, danswhetstone.com maybe. He's located in Arkansas, in the heart of an evacuolite quarry, which is what Arkansas whetstones are, is an evacuolite, and he is very good at what he does. And he has some very good stones. And if they don't have the size that you want, call them up on a Monday or whatever, and they will give you a custom cut. Now you may have to wait a week for it, but hey, it's worth it if you can't find it anywhere else. To get back to subject here, notice this hump. I was just trying to emphasize on the stone quality. You don't want to use a medium on it. You want to use a fine. And if you really wanted to get technical about it, and you wanted to get down to the nitty-gritty and make sure you do not remove too much material, you could go with an ultra fine translucent Arkansas stone. It wouldn't hurt. It's less is always good. So when you're dealing with trigger work, so you notice that ridge there. You don't want to get any closer to that ridge than what I have. And again, use this video as a reference. My big fat finger back there so you can see but you want to keep this contour, and do not cut this upper hump to a negative angle. This upper hump here, don't cut that to a negative angle. You'll see where that, and there's some material down in here. It's at a ridge, like a gully, and you're not going to be able to get to that, and that's fine. If anything, you could be able to get to it with your stone like this at a side angle, but again, it's not engaging anything anyway, so why mess with it? Why remove it, unless you're an OCD perfectionist or something like that and have to have everything look just right even though you can't see it. I mean, I can understand why you'd want to move it out, but it's not going to help make any difference anyway. And again, I've got my buffing wheel with my green on it, and I buffed it out real good, and you see a nice glossy white shiny finish. Oops, almost lost her there. talking too much and goofing off. Let's get her back into. Again, that's just pivoting. You don't want to cinch this thing down too much because you have to cinch it down just enough to hold it, but not enough to. And again, when I was filing it, I had to hold my thumb back here to support that so that I could push that way with it. And then I only brought back a couple strokes like that to take off that outer burr there. And then again, one more time, I hit it once or twice right there just to take that sharp edge and left it alone. You don't want to remove too much when you're dealing with these sears. If you get down, like again, if you get down to the gooey center or you get down too far, you can run into a failure issue where you have a situation where your pistol either won't fire and the hammer won't engage, or you could run into all kinds of safety issues. I'm not going to get into them here, but again, do this at your own risk. Just because I said so, do it. You can do it. Doesn't make it right. I'm not going to take any responsibility. I'm just giving you the tools that you need to make an educated decision. You can see that edge there. It should be a little sharp. It doesn't have to be, pick sharp or anything. Just enough to like click your nail there. That's all it needs. It doesn't need to be, run your finger across there and cut it or anything. But that's how the back side should look. And now we're going to go to the next step. Let's see here. And then I'll show you what that is. Let me cut and I will move on to the next step.